This is a kinematic mount that I made for an 8-inch diameter parabolic mirror that I use for optical experiments. The mirror is mounted to a 10-inch diameter round piece of 3/4 inch plywood. It's centered by some hex standoffs that have foam to cushion the mirror between the standoffs, and there's some silicone adhesive to hold the mirror to the disc. The disc has a spherical bearing on the back of it that's bolted to a vertical support for this base. The vertical support is held by a shelf brace that you get at the hardware store, and in the corners there's some metal angles that screw the whole thing together. So what the kinematic mount allows you to do is to control the pan and tilt of the mirror in very precise movements, precise increments. There's details and diagrams of how to build this on my blog at ottobelden.blogspot, and a link on my YouTube page for this video that will take you to the post that explains how to build this. What's happening is the spherical bearing allows this plywood disc and the mirror to move in all directions and even to rotate. But it's being constrained by some 1/4-20 bolts, 2 of them that are at 90 degrees to each other with these red thumb screws on the ends, and 2 springs at the bottom. These bolts have points ground on each end, and those points are sitting in cups that are actually just little holes that I drilled in the backs of carriage bolts. So these bolts sitting in those cups prevent the disc and the mirror from rotating around, which I don't want. But they also, because they're not actually screwed into this disc, they allow relative motion between the bolt and the disc. So what happens to tilt the mirror, for example, is I can screw this top bolt in and out, and as I do that, the plywood disc and the mirror, in this case, are pivoting on this back bolt and this spring over here. The spring's a compression spring, it's pushing out. When I turn this bolt down at the bottom, or over here, it's controlling the side-to-side motion of the mirror. And in this case, the mirror is pivoting on the point of this bolt and the spring that's down at the bottom, so it can go side to side. In addition to that, the wood base that everything's screwed to has 4 1/4-20 bolt leveling feet in it, and those are screwed in to the base with T-nuts like this. These little T-nuts that have the teeth on them. So you press those into the wood, and then by using a screwdriver on these ends I can level it out and support it. And these same T-nuts are what I'm using for the adjustment bolts up here. They're pressed into the wood that way so that these can screw in and out. Put some grease on there so the bolts are lubricated, and those points that I mentioned that are ground onto the ends of these 1/4-20 bolts sitting in those cups are lubricated to reduce some of the friction. That's pretty much it. Again, go to my blog, ottobelden.blogspot.com, and there's some drawings and some more details about how to build this.